Hi, my name's Christina Lardy, Gearhead in Training, and you're listening to Gearheads in Gasoline podcast.
You get a lot of those comments like, you should start a YouTube channel, you be rich. Like, people think it's like, oh, it's so easy. You just pop it on YouTube and you get all these followers, you make all this money. It's like, it doesn't work like that. People underestimate the amount of work. If I were trying to do something for money, I would just go fly more and make a lot more money than the hours I spend, working on my car, so I'm going to keep it fun. I'm not going to, do something just for others' value. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Welcome to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast, where we dive into the high-octane world of market-leading shop owners, shop employees, and automotive enthusiasts from the aftermarket, restoration, performance, and racing industries. So strap in as we take you on an awesome journey with our guests as they share their real-life stories, lessons learned, business advice, and unfiltered insights to help you beat the school of hard knocks. Gearheads and Gasoline, fueling your success.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gearheads and Gasoline, powered by Redline Oil and AMD. I'm Barry Alt with Motorhead Digital, and joining me as guest co-host today is Jason Chandler from Automotive Direct. Today, we're excited to welcome Scott Spencer, DIY builder and social media content creator from Scott's Rides, to the show. Hey, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us when you're not flying all over the country and everything, I noticed. So,
all right. So to kick off the podcast, we always start with the question of, what is your favorite drink? What is your go-to drink, Scott?
Gosh, and it's probably the boringest it could be, water. I'm on a health kick this year. As of this morning, I'm down 27 pounds this year. So
Nice.
try not to drink any calories from liquids, barely. So I like a cold water. Here you go.
Now, are you a water sommelier where you've got certain spring or tap? Or
No, we've got like a reverse osmosis machine in the house. So I just make, 5-gallon containers of that. And we got a water dispenser. So it's super chill. It's
Nice. Yeah, our guest episode, our Christina Lardy's episode that we did with Katie is going out next week, and she comes on and we ask her this question. She goes, I like a pine float. And we're both like, what the hell's a pine float? Water with a toothpick in it.
Okay.
So anyways, we're like, okay, that's a new one. Someday I'm going to put a list together of all the favorite drinks here. But I've been following you for a while on social media, seeing your builds and stuff. You're working on a Chevelle right now, which I'm a big 67 Chevelle fan, by the way, and my wife loves 70 Chevelles, never owned one, but someday. What first got you into building cars?
I always loved cars growing up, and I was a car guy. As a teenager, my first car was a 67 Mustang convertible. And then as I went through my professional career, I finally got to a point where I had the time and space and money to build a car. And I literally just woke up one day and I was like, my uncle is a big car guy, and he'd built a Cobra kit car some many years back when I was young. And I was like, it'd be kind of cool to build a car in my garage. I like creating stuff and use my hands. And I'm an airline pilot by trade, so I travel for work. So I just like being at home when I'm off, and I don't, I wanted a full inclusive project that I could do at home. So I literally just Googled Cobra kit cars, and Factory Five came up, and started looking into it, researching it. And I hadn't done any automotive work since I was changing my oil in high school 25 years prior to that. And I said, I'm going to jump in and do this. And I ordered that car, and I had such a great experience building it. And I've just kind of gone from there on my car journey.
Yeah, Cobras are pretty awesome cars. My dad built a kid car years ago. It was one of those. It was a Mercedes 2-seater type.
Yeah,
kid car. I can't remember. Mercedes. No, it was a Mercedes. Yeah, the MGs are similar to that. But with that said, as we talked about in the beginning, you do a lot of social media. What got you into documenting your builds and putting it out online? Is that what got you going on social media, or were you doing that before?
I had like a personal Instagram account, but then I just started kind of posting pictures of the car, the Cobra, as I was building it. And I was like, most of my friends in real life don't care about cars, so they're probably getting a little tired of seeing all this Cobra stuff. And so I made an alternate account, Scott's Cobra, which later morphed into Scott's Rides. And what really got me started on it was like the Factory Five build community was amazing. They've got an incredible builders forum, and the people there were so helpful that it almost like restored my faith in humanity and how good, that was my first experience to how good a group car guys are and how much they're willing to help people. And so everybody does build threads on there, and I kind of wrote mine from a beginner's perspective. Like I'm going to show my mistakes and what I learned along the way, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm going to get there. And it had good success. So basically, then I just kind of kept posting pictures of the car as I was building it, and it just kind of grew from there. Back then, Instagram was just pictures. It wasn't any videos, and it's kind of now morphed into short videos are the way to go. And so after I finished the Cobra, I got into the next car, and just it's grown. And I think honestly, when I started, I was just building a car and posting videos and pictures. Now I think I've morphed into I'm making videos of me building a car. It's kind of the other way around. The end result is the same as a completed car. That's pretty neat. But sometimes my process is driven more by the content creation than it is the car build.
Yeah, and I really like the way you approach the content you're putting out. It's it's well rounded and it's well thought out. With like the build logs. That's something everybody I'm following. Here we're on build log 70 yesterday, and it's like, you know, giving that thought into what you're doing is really cool to see.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Have you had people actually, you said you were going on forums and things like that. Obviously, most of us do that to learn how to do something or solve a problem. Have you actually had people now reach out to you and say, how did you do that? Or getting advice or why you're using a certain product?
Yeah, I get a lot. I get a lot of that for sure. And the products I'm using, my social media is a little different. I did very well professionally to where I can build the car I want to build. So I'm not just like angling for good products to use because I can get a deal on them. I'm going to find the best stuff that I want to build with. I'm going to get that, and then I'm going to present that to people like, hey, this is what I'm using, and then if I have problems with it, or I'm a DIY guy, and I'm always stepping in over my head on this stuff, and so I just want to encourage people, do the best they can with what they got available. Don't be scared to try it and do it. So I have fun doing that. I do have a lot of interaction on the messages and direct messages. If I figure if somebody's going to follow me and spend the time following me, and they're going to take time to write me a message, if it's a relevant message, I'm going to respond to it. I like try to acknowledge everybody that does it. As the account's grown to over 500,000 people on there, it's a little bit harder to manage the messages. So a lot of times it's just like, hit a like or a heart or whatever. But I do want to acknowledge everybody that takes the time to invest in watching what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm sure that turns into it. If you really answered every comment and things like that, you need it. It'd be a new day job, right, for you.
Right.
The As far as people asking you for help and stuff, have you been able to really help somebody and say, look, just do it, try it, or here's who to contact if you're having a problem?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of times I'm able to give some pretty relevant advice. And, I'm no expert on this stuff, but as I'm on my fifth car build now, I've certainly increased my knowledge base quite a bit. And I'm able to give some pretty relevant advice. That's part of the problem with the internet is, you got to filter out who's giving good advice and who's a moron, that thinks they're giving good advice. So, I've always said that key to my success is surrounding myself with people smarter than me or better than me and knowing who I can rely on. So I try to, give relevant advice where I'm asked.
Yeah, I agree with that. So you're on build number 5.
Yeah, I did that Cobra, and then I did a '79 Porsche. Then I did a '67 Camaro on a roaster shop chassis. Then I did a '65 Mustang on a roaster shop chassis. Now I'm doing the Chevelle.
Nice. Is that Chevelle on a roadster shop chassis as well?
Of course, it is. It is. And I mean, the whole darn thing is going to be auto metal direct parts on that thing too. So, that's one of those things I've talked about. Like the every car is different. I try not to do the same every time, and so I really wasn't even that familiar with auto metal direct till I got to the Chevelle. And one of my friends like, hey, check this out. And this Chevelle body I bought was a real piece of junk. I stepped deeper than I thought I was stepping. And the more I dig into it, the more I find these guys kind of like quick flippers get it. And I didn't pay very much for it. So I kind of got what I paid for, but it's got so many problems. And I'm like, okay, here I am. Like, I got this Auto Metal Direct catalog sitting on my desk all the time. I think I've got darn near everything they sell for a 67 Chevelle in there now, but it's like, I just want quality parts. So, you'll see a lot of that content in my build logs. Cause like, that's what I'm using. That's what I'm having good success with.
and you're determined to determined to finish it and get it done, even though you're starting out with kind of a, should I say, basket case, more of a,
Yeah.
if I want to use that terminology, it sounds like that. There's a lot of projects that all of us have gotten in over the years. It looks nice until you start taking the paint off
Yeah.
and stuff and
Exactly.
tearing it apart. And it's like, oh crap. I'm even looking at issues with my Corvette I'm working on right now. Um, as far as content goes, we talk a lot about content and how people need to think about it. What content do you feel connects with your audience the best? Is it talking about the builds or showing how you did something?
Yeah, I kind of do like a DIY. This is how I'm doing every process of the car. Now, when I was building the Mustang, I did a lot more on my Instagram story. And then like about every 2 weeks, I'd have a build log. And I found the build logs were really doing well. So now I'm doing like the Mustang took me 2 years to build. I had, I think, maybe like 110 build logs and maybe like 50 supplemental videos in addition to the Instagram story. Now I'm already on like build log 73 on the Chevelle, and I got a long way to go. I mean, there's going to be hundreds of build logs on this one because I'm like, the people like seeing all the details of it. So I'm basically showing everything as I go, and I don't spend a ton of time editing. I'm like, not setting up my camera and filming all this stuff. I'm doing it and I'm kind of, holding in selfie mode or showing the car and what I've done. And I try to put, 90 to 120-second videos together, a couple times a week or depending on when I get to work on the car. And those seem to be going well for that.
Tell you the thing I like about your content is where you don't it's approachable. People that watch it can relate to it, and it's something that's, not overly produced. It's real world, and I think that's why it does so well, and that
Yeah.
you see a lot of the engagement on your posts because it is approachable and
Yeah.
it's legit.
Well, I had an advisor from TikTok, that TikTok got with me and they're like wanting me to make my video a certain way. And he's, really coaching me up on all this stuff. And ultimately, like, he's like, your process is a little different because I'm not an influencer that's trying to make money like from social media. My goal is to just build the car and have fun with it and show people how it goes. So he was kind of like, you need to do this, this, this. I'm like, that's going to slow down my process too much. He's like, well, your account's not going to grow as much. I'm like, I don't really care, man. I want to do my videos how I want to do them. And he's like, yeah, he's like, I got you and another guy that's a doctor. And then I got like 175 other influencers that are trying to make a living doing TikTok. He's like, you and the doctor kind of do your own thing. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to encourage others and to show how it goes and show what you can do if you try hard at it.
That's awesome. Are you doing any editing of those? I saw one video where you just put a bunch of clips together over Easter, right? But normally, do you just shoot them and send them?
Yeah, I shoot them pretty quick. I mean, I go through and trim down the fat off the end, so it's like rapid flow and
Right.
try to get a good flow going to it in the transitions. And I'll go back there and put captions on the videos and stuff because I do get a lot of like you talk too fast stuff. It's like I'm an airline pilot. I've been flying into the busiest airport in the world for the last 30 years. And I do have a quick cadence of speaking and the amount of like negative comments I get towards that. But then, I also get the positives, like people like the rapid fire. Like personally, I like short form content. I can't stand going to YouTube because I need like 30 seconds of an info and it takes me like a 9-minute video to get what I need that 30 seconds. So like if you're looking something something on one of my videos, you're going to get it quick. And so, there's the pluses and the minuses of my fast talking style, but, with the followers and the likes and all that stuff kind of speaks for itself. So I think it's working and you're always going to have the haters that on social media haters going to hate. So you just kind of got to disregard that.
Yeah, they're sitting in their basement with nothing better to
Yeah.
do when they're making comments like that. Are with that said, as far as YouTube goes, are you putting shorts out to YouTube, or you don't do anything on
I
YouTube?
don't do anything on YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel, but it's just not for me shooting it sideways or editing. And, I've got some friends that are YouTube creators and they work so hard at making these great videos. And it's like, that's just not where I'm at. I found good success with the short content. So it's just, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And all my videos are exactly the same. I post all three of them. I create them on my iPhone basically. And I do have a tripod I'll set up very rarely for something. And like me and my wife made a little video the other day about some door handles that we did a little acting in, but that's very rare for us. It's usually just, very raw. I try to be just unique or not unique, just realistic with what I'm doing.
Right. I can tell you, and Jason knows this. Um, doing videos for YouTube. We put a lot of work in this podcast and editing of it, and it goes through a process before it even goes out. And there's a lot of work to that. I totally get that. The reason I said YouTube is there are shorts out there. You could
Right.
put the same thing out, just put shorts out, not put any regular, um, horizontal videos on. Spend a lot
I
of
feel
time.
like when I looked at the shorts, it was like a 60-second time limit at the time. Maybe they've changed it since, but like all my videos are a minute and a half to 2.5 minutes long. So it just like, I'm just like, I'm not going to mess with this. And,
Yeah.
I do get a lot of those comments like, you should start a YouTube channel. You be rich. Like people think it's like, oh, it's so easy. You just pop it on YouTube and you get all these followers, you make all this money. It's like, it doesn't work like that. People underestimate the amount of work. If I were trying to do something for money, I would just go fly more and make a lot more money than the hours I spend, working on my car. So I'm going to keep it fun. I'm not going to, do something just for others' value. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. If I'm a like a shop owner or a builder and I'm not an influencer, but I take that perspective and apply that to my business and know that you're not an influencer, you're not trying to make money off social media, but you do need to market yourself and, do content creation for marketing purposes. That's a great approach.
And I,
Quick
and I think
fire, easy.
I think the marketing aspect of it is,
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Gearheads and Gasoline. We're going to take a quick break here to share a message from our sponsor, Automotive Direct.
Hey guys, you're watching the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. I'm Jason with AMD. Check this out.
I think the marketing aspect of it is, I decide what I'm going to use, and I do, I get enough views now where companies want to work with me. And, I think last year, I don't really keep track of my views all the time, but looking at the 30-day look back, it's generally 6 to 8 million a month between all the sources. So, it's like probably 75 million views last month. So if I approach a company and I'm like, this is what I do, this is how I'd like to present it. I'm going to get this many views. If you want to work with me, I'd love to work with you. If you don't, I'm still going to buy the product anyways. Like I'm going to get what I'm going to get. And if I can get the deals on it now, that would be great. And, it's super important to me if a company believes in me to let me, speak for their product, or they're going to give me a discount or free products or whatever, that I exceed their expectations. Like I'm not going to be the guy that Jason sends a part out to, and then he never hears from the guy again. And then 9 months later, there's like an 8-second clip on the guy's story. Like if somebody believes in me to promote their product, they're going to get what they're hoping to get out of me. And that's like important to me to do that.
Yeah, and I can tell you, like from my perspective, working with Scott, if there is an issue pops up, he reaches out and we're already looking at it. Like we had some issues with the door, and the door fit fine, but we had the latch mechanism wasn't engaging fully. So I've got the guys already looking at that to try and figure out, was it something that Scott did? Was it something we did? Was it something the door did? Something the door latch? So it's really helpful from our perspective to get that feedback and get it from somebody that we can trust after 5 builds. It's not just a shade tree guys doing it for the first time.
Right.
Right. That's great, because that you build that relationship with DIY builders as well as shops, but having them give you feedback of, hey, this is what I'm running into. How
Yeah.
do I fix that? Or is it
Yeah.
me or is it you? Right. And that helps AMD build better products, right?
Yeah.
Because you can only test it like so much when you're developing it, right?
Right. Right. And we check it, from periodically, but real world users like Scott it's invaluable for us to get that feedback.
How does
So
that
thank you.
work? What's that?
I said thank you, Scott.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I always approach it too, like, hey, I very well may be the one that screwed this up, but this is what I got. I sent you those 5 videos yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what's happening. I don't see any adjustability here. So I think it's this, but you guys look into it.
Yeah, that's great.
And most shops, because they've been doing it for years, know all the tricks of the trades and things like that. So a lot of times, even I'm guessing, even if there's a minor issue with the product, they see something, they may not take the time to reach out to AMD. They just know, oh, if we do this, it'll work fine for us, and we fix the issue in house. We're not going to spend time reaching out to AMD unless it's something major, I'm guessing. for a DIYer, they may, like Scott giving great feedback to AMD is huge, because there's a lot of other DIYers out there that are just buying parts off of websites and then getting frustrated, possibly because either they don't understand how to install something, or there is an issue, but they don't know how to address it. They don't know how to reach out to the company. They may vent on social media, which is the wrong way to do it, right? And some might not even know there's forums out there to reach out to for advice.
Well, and also nobody's paying me for my time. So it's like, I can take the time to do that. If I were in a pro shop, I couldn't be making all these videos. I waste way too much of my own time making these videos. If somebody's paying me to work on their car, it would never fly like that. So that's a nice advantage I have too. I don't have any time pressures on me or money pressures.
Yeah, that's huge. And we might have talked about it in the beginning, but are you doing the videos just because you enjoy it? Because you're obviously not doing it for money or free parts or anything like that. You just like documenting what you're doing.
Yeah, I like doing it. I like the interaction with the people, and I have fun doing it. I mean, I do have like side goals with that. I'm a goal driven person. I've had good professional success, and I find in my professional job, like as an airline captain, I really have nothing left to achieve goal wise. I'm kind of at the pinnacle of my career, and it's like every flight is the same. Go to work, have a safe flight. Treat my passengers well, get along well with my crew, treat the crew well, all that. But from a goal driven perspective, it's hard to have motivation there. So I can set up goals with like the social media, like, I'll say on the Chevelle, I'm basically trying to build this car for free because, either with product discounts or with the money I make from social media. So it's a fine little like side challenge for me to do this, and it's not free because my time has value to it, but it's like, it gives me a goal to work towards. And because like I feel like you always got to be working towards a goal, because if you're not working towards something, what are you doing? So that gives me a new area to pursue a challenge in.
Yeah, I totally hear you. I mean, even this podcast for us, for me anyways, it was, can we do it? Can we produce a podcast that somebody would even listen to or watch, right? And so there's a process to that. For other DIYers out there, what's your recommendations of how they would work with a company like AMD or other, how they need to think about that, right?
I think a lot of people get, a small amount of followers and they're like, I should just get this stuff for free. I will point out, I spent multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars of my own money before I had the account built where it provided value to a company getting back. So it's like, if you don't have a strong following, you're not getting a lot of views. I find it a little ridiculous to expect freebies in return. It's going to be, economy of scale, the bigger you get. So, I don't feel ridiculous reaching out to Jason and being like, hey, man, if I can get you this many views, can we get a discount on parts or something like that? Or, Vintage Air Roaster Shop. I've got some great, Jags has been a great partner to me. But it's like, that didn't happen until I had spent years and money, lots of my money, to get to that point on the accounts that I had the availability to do that.
So you're looking at it from look, I'm not going to go out and try to get free stuff. I'm going to do the work first. I'm going to spend the money, and I'm going to promote these companies, even though might not even know anybody there like Jason. Now you do, you have those relationships. So that's something very important for builders and DIYers to think about, especially new builders getting into business. Don't expect free handouts until you've delivered some value first, right? And actually put some more your own money.
Yeah, you got to provide the value that they're investing in you back. All these companies are for-profit business. They don't want to just be giving stuff out with no ROI. So, you got to provide the value to them. And it's kind of like old Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. If I provide the value, those sponsors are going to come. About half the sponsors I've worked with, I've reached out to, and half of them have found me, and said, hey, you want to do something? So, it's a true blessing that I'm in the position to be able to do that now. But like I said, it wasn't just like I just started posting videos one day and the next day all these guys were sending me free stuff.
It's a partnership.
Yeah.
It's a partnership.
Definitely. Are you going to any shows like SEMA or anything like that? I know for SEMA, you actually have to be working in the industry. I know more influencers and content creators are coming to SEMA, even if they're not working for a shop or a company.
Yeah, I did SEMA last year, which was our first time. My wife and I went out there. So that was really good experience to do that. I'm not like a huge traveler just because I travel for work all the time. So I literally hate going places. Like when my wife and I flew, we live in Alabama, so we fly out of Atlanta. But when we flew to Vegas for the SEMA show last year, that was the first time my wife and I had flown somewhere in 14 years together. You know,
Really?
and I'm an airline pilot with travel benefits, so we like driving places. Our moms, live in Alabama and South Carolina. And my wife sells Disney travel. She's a retired school teacher that does Disney travel planning. And we go to Disney quite a bit. So we drive to Orlando and it's hard for us to get me on an airplane. So something like SEMA show was what would get me there because I had such an interest in seeing that. That was kind of like a bucket list item, ever wanting to go there. But I would never like take a car out there or anything because I just want to like zip in there, get out, go a couple days, come back.
Cool. You going this year or are you one and
I'm
done?
not sure. We've got like a niece getting married and some other stuff going on, and my wife and I got a 30th anniversary trip. So I don't know that it'll work this year. It may be a deal where I just fly out there for one day and come back or something. But I can't commit to it now. But I had such a good time doing it last year. I'd like to try to squeeze it in.
Nice. Well, we hope you can because Jason and I will be there for sure. So be great
Yeah,
to meet you in
that's the
person.
first time I met Jason in person. Was out there last year.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Um, do you go to shows like Good Guys Show in Columbus?
No, I don't. I just don't travel for stuff like that. And it's kind of funny. We have a Cars and Coffee here in town once a month. But I live in a small town, Auburn, Alabama, so it's a lot of the same cars every time. So I work a lot of weekends too. So generally it's the third Saturday every month. So I don't even make it. And sometimes I go out there. I'm not a huge stand around the parking lot look at cars. I'd rather be driving my cars or working on them. So and I, honestly, in real life, I'm kind of an introvert by nature, which is kind of weird because I was like all over the internet doing these videos and stuff. But I'm a little shy in real life, so it's kind of
I
I
don't
don't.
believe that, man.
Yeah, I don't do a ton of those.
Have you ever been up to AMD's facility?
No, I haven't been up there. I need to. I need to get over there and see. We got Jason. I got a mutual friend, Thomas Dickerson, the young builder over in the area there. So I need to
Oh,
get
I know
over.
Thomas quite well.
Okay.
We're a huge supporter of Thomas's for sure.
So
Yeah.
I need to get over and see his shop again. Since last time I was there, he was still working on it, and it's getting pretty close to complete. So
Yeah.
I'd like to get over there to see Jason too. I
Yeah,
can
we need
drive
to-
there though, so that's no worries.
We need to go to Thomas's dad's basement bar and hang out and talk cars and
Yeah,
hang out. It'd be
for
fun.
sure.
Yeah, that was our plan in March. My wife got some pretty bad sciatica, but we're going to do the whole tour of Georgia, hit AMD and Thomas's shop and visit his dad. Because I hung out with his dad a number of times at SEMA and he showed me his bar and stuff. And they're big firearms people too. So
Yeah.
wanted to have some fun there, but we weren't able to make it down there.
Yeah, meeting his parents, we had met them before SEMA, but we hung out with them a lot at SEMA. And that was probably my most satisfying part of SEMA is like Thomas won that Young Guns Battle of the Builders and seeing his parents like there to take that in with them. It was really cool. Because to see the pride they were taking in him and how well it went. And it was a neat experience being there for part of that.
Yeah, Thomas's parents are awesome, and Thomas is a workaholic. Have you talked to him about his shop and stuff and what he's done?
But yeah, I've seen it all, and he's actually. I got a really good friend in town, Dale, that's built a '74 Bronco, and he's got a '63 split window build that he was going to do, but now Thomas is basically taking it
Oh,
over.
is that the one Thomas is working on?
Yeah, yeah. So Thomas has come down here, I think, later this week to pick up the body. He's had the chassis for quite a while, but so hopefully I'll see him then if I'm not working that day.
That's cool. When we were ran into him in Columbus last year and was talking about his shop and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, it costs this much to put electric in." He went and got his electrical license. He got his HVAC license. He got his plumbing license. He got all these licenses, did the work, got the licenses, did the work himself. I don't know. He must have like a 36-hour day or something because I don't know how he does it all.
That kid's a hard starter.
Yeah. So, what is your advice for younger builders, DIY builders, looking to, the building their own ride or even getting into the industry? What's your thoughts on that as far as your experience with manufacturers and other builders may have met?
Well, I think the main thing with DIY is and I still am scared to tackle projects. Try to overcome the fear that you're going to mess it up and just jump in and make it happen. I found I'm a lot more willing on build 5 to get way over my head than I was comfortable with on build one, because I've got that experience now to learn that you can find a solution, you can figure it out. It's just, time that's it may take more time or whatever. Currently my rocker panel on the outer rocker panel on the Chevelle had some little holes in it. I started looking at it and I was like, I need to cut this whole thing out of here and do it. And it's a problem for me right now. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. I'm going to do, but I know, I'm confident that I'll get to the end goal. But like, I'm sitting there losing sleep over it last night. Like, how am I going to pull this off? So basically overcome that fear of trying and just jump in there and make it happen.
Reaching out to manufacturers, what's your thoughts on that?
You mean as far as like a job or just?
Say they're working on a build like you are, and they know about AMD, but I know that some people don't want to bother the manufacturer or the companies that sell these parts, so they're gonna muddle along and try to figure out themselves when there actually is support out there. I'm not saying support for free parts and things, or just advice or pointing them in the right direction, or, oh, you need this part, not this part, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer, like I said before, of surrounding yourself with people smarter than you, and like I'm a huge user of tech support lines, and I have no pride about asking the stupidest question. And I'll call tech support line and be like, I've never done this before. I'm completely confused. I'm a moron, So it's like some people don't want to put their pride to the side, and they want to act like they know what's going on when they really don't. And, like American Auto Wire, for example, a lot of people, struggle with wiring harnesses and stuff. And, I'm okay with it now. And I've looked at, wiring diagrams from airplanes for a lot of years and stuff. But like, I get into those rewires of all the cars, because all the cars I'm done, I've been, no, not a single wire in it when I started, basically. And it's like, those guys are so competent and smart and give you the best advice. And it's like, just, they're waiting for you. Just call them and ask them.
The Gearheads and Gasoline podcast is proudly sponsored by Redline Synthetic Oil. With a legacy of excellence and over 100 premium products, Redline provides motor oils, gear oils, assembly lubes, fuel additives, and water wetter for the automotive, racing, motorcycle, marine, and industrial markets. Known for their exceptional quality and technical expertise, Redline is trusted by enthusiasts and professionals alike. Discover their full range of products and expert support at redlineoil.com.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline Oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
And it's like, those guys are so competent and smart and give you the best advice. And it's like, just, they're waiting for you. Just call on them, ask them. A sheet metal part's a little different. It's harder to get like, strong technical advice on stuff like that. But, the help is there as to what parts are available and stuff. But, if there's a tech line, Vintage Air, I've used a lot, Dakota Digital, I've used a lot, American Auto Wire. I mean, they got smart people there that are just sitting there waiting to help you. So you might as well use them.
I got to look into that. I don't know if they're doing Corvette stuff, but we have the whole interior of my 69 Corvette pulled out. I have a wire that just ends, it's cut off. I have another wire that's just sitting there cut off. I'm going, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
I don't even know. I mean, I do have the wiring diagram. I'm not the expert on wiring.
Yeah.
I took auto services in school and learned a lot, but it was always my weaker point when it came to working on vehicles and things like that.
Yeah, I think that intimidates a lot of builders, is the wiring is a big hurdle. I kind of get to it now, and I kind of like it because I like the systematic, working, getting it hooked up and making it work. There's definitely harder parts for me, but the wiring is definitely one of the hardest part, I think, for a lot of DIY builders.
Yeah, especially when you're working with EFI and things like that, right? There's a lot more technology there, even, Dakota Digital and ECUs and things like that, make it a lot more complex than my 69 Corvette that has points and sensors in it, right? Well, but anyways, Jason, I'm going to ask our guest co-host what his recommendations are for DIYers to follow up to what Scott said. What is your thought about that? Because obviously you can't field every single phone call that comes in, but how should they think about it if we're actually reaching out to a company like AMD or others, if they're running into issues or need advice?
Yeah, I think Scott touched on it a little bit earlier. You don't know what advice you're going to get if you just going to YouTube and trying to figure it out. But that is a start. Reaching out to the manufacturer is always a great option. You know, I'm been in talks with American Auto Wire for my truck here recently, and they're great. You know, if I'm trying to figure out, okay, I'm going to run 2 batteries and I'm going to run it parallel, but then I need to, you know, fuse it to a junction block to run it to the accessories inside. They walk me right through it. It's like, okay, this is what you need, this is what you got, this is what you're going to need to add, and and doing your due diligence. I wouldn't say, like, you know, Scott mentioned, don't just necessarily listen to some moron on YouTube, but you know, if you follow accounts like Scott's, it's a great example of here's what I'm doing, here's how I'm going to achieve my goal on getting these wider tubs in this Chevelle. And I'm going to need to move the body mount to this, that, and the other, and you know, really thinking that out. And you know, at the end of the day, we're all car guys, and we're all, you know, following content. Picking up on good creators like Scott is a great start.
Great. And so what you're saying is, you know, there's a lot of great content and good advice out there. Just don't always believe the first thing you hear. Take and kind of
trust
filter it out.
but verify.
Trust but verify. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Back to content, because we talk a lot about people looking to get their message out there, mostly shops and manufacturers and things like that. But what and I know you're not looking to you're just doing it more for fun, but you've gotten a great following and things like that. What content do you think hits the best as far as audience interaction and, you know, building followers and things like that? What have you seen?
Just like being authentic to yourself and not trying to create what other people are doing. It's like you got to just kind of do your own thing. If it hits, it hits, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But you're still enjoying what you're doing, and it's only getting 100 views. Like, who cares? You had fun doing what you're doing, you know. So that's kind of my philosophy. Again, kind of like the "if you build it, they will come" type thing. Just, you know, do what you want to do and see how it goes.
You mentioned too the community as far as forums and things like that. One thing that I've experienced since working with Seaman, being on our Auto Select Committee, is it's become a big family for me. And I'm curious how, as a DIY builder, how you see that as far as the community and the interaction. You talked about it a little earlier, but I wanted to dig a little deeper into that. And what's your thoughts?
I think so, for sure. I've got friends literally all over the world that I've met through social media that I never would have come across in real life. And it's a cool experience. One funny story I like to tell is when I built the Cobra, I started talking to this guy in Australia, and he was building a Cobra, and, you know, it's hard to get parts down there. And he'd asked me this, and then, you know, we'd been talking on Instagram maybe for a couple years, and he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "I'm coming to America for my first time ever. I bought a 1970 F100 pickup truck, and I'm picking it up in Atlanta, and I'm driving it to Compton, California, and I'm going to ship it back home to Australia, and then I'm going to restore it." And I'm like, "Oh, cool, man. I'm like 100 miles down the road from Atlanta. Like, stop by and see me on the way." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, sounds good. Great." And so, concurrent to that, my college roommate was visiting us in Auburn because his son was at school at the time. He and his wife do zero social media. And they're at our house the day this guy's showing up. And I'm like, "Hey, this guy's coming from Australia to eat dinner with us." They're like, "What are you talking about, man? Have you got some murder in the house?" I'm like, "Nah, he's a car guy. He's a car guy." And they're like, "Well, what's his name?" And I'm like, "I don't even know his name. His username's IBK66. I don't know his name."
No kidding.
He shows up, and my buddies, they live in Houston. He shows up. We just had this amazing experience with him, meeting him. His name's Brendan. We talked to him. You know, this has been about 8 years now. We're still great friends, talking all the time. But, you know, we had such a positive experience with him that by the time he was leaving, you know, and he's going through Houston, my friends are like, "Well, you can stay with us in Houston if you need," you know, because it's just like,
no kidding.
Yeah, it's just how like car guys are. And he journeyed. I mean, this car was this truck was in need of restoration. And he joked that he used more transmission fluid than gas going across the country. But he documented his journey across the country, you know, hit Route 66, the whole deal. And it was really cool, and it was a really positive experience. So, you know, I've reached out to some other people, you know, unlikely friends after that experience, and we've just made these great friends. And there's a guy, Paul Borer, up in Michigan. He's kind of a Factory Five expert, you will say, but he was kind of my build mentor when I built the Cobra. And he's an older guy, retired guy, and we just maintained a friendship. We've never met in real life, but like we text all the time. Every car I build, I ask him for advice. He's built an airplane, and it's just some really neat relationships with people I never would have met if you didn't try to get those on social media.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I can say when we were going to go down to Georgia, right? I'm talking to Thomas's dad at the SEMA show at the Armo booth. He goes, "Oh, you can stay with us."
Yeah.
And I'm looking. Well, anytime we travel, and my wife's with me, go, this person is there, this person is there. I know this person in this state. We're going through there, and she goes, "We are not stopping at these people because of social media, because of being involved with SEMA and things like that, and my business. I know a ton of people, and." You want to meet them in person, especially when you talk to them a lot. I'm dying to go to AMD's facility and check it out.
We're ready. We're ready to have you.
Yeah. Candy's got some major sciatica, so hopping on a plane.
Drive it. It's what, an 18-hour drive for you, maybe?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. She can't sit a long time. That's the problem. That's why we're not traveling, because even a 2-hour flight, she's going, because we want to go visit some friends down in North Carolina. It's a direct flight from here.
I recommend Delta. I'm just saying.
There you go.
I have a Delta account. I love flying Delta, but they need to do something about their rates, because they're like, I go into one of my other carriers, and I'm not, Scott, we don't get into Delta too much here, but it's like, it's 20% more most of the time. I just like,
hey man, have you seen my garage? I got cars to pay for. That profit sharing. No, Delta's business model is to offer a premium product, and a premium experience. They say, I mean, at best, air travel has its problems. Like it's a nightmare at times. There's no denying that. And I hope we can provide a value for what we're charging. They're not trying to compete with the Spirits or the airlines like that. From a safety level, I think all the U.S. carriers do a great job and are safe operations. Delta tries to provide a better passenger experience, whether they do or not always. I can't say. I hope we do. I try to do the best I can every time we're there, but air travel is full of perils of on-time problems and all that, and it's aggravating. It aggravates me as much as it aggravates the passengers, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I've been flying American since it was U.S. Airways, so that's kind of my go-to. Yeah. I'd rather fly Delta. I love the service. I love the planes and stuff like this. I do have a question for you. This is going off topic a little bit here, but we're literally sitting, and I think I know your answer is, we're sitting for a flight in Miami to fly to St. Thomas last year. The plane's been at the gate for an hour. We board the plane, and then we get kicked off the plane. They had to change 2 front tires. It's like the damn plane's been sitting there an hour and a half. Did you not look at the tires when it was sitting there? But I'm guessing.
The thing of it is like when we show up to the airplane, we do a pre-flight inspection sometime before we push back. Now, we don't usually get to the airplane to 35 to 45 minutes prior. Then we, unpack and we get the interior pre-flight done. And then usually the first officer will do the walk around once they go out and do the walk around. So it may be 30 minutes until they see those tires. And like, depending what, and we have hub maintenance, but like we don't have mechanics at all the outstations. Now, if you're on American in Miami, they would have hub maintenance there, but they're not going to look at every plane every time it comes through. They have a scheduled service they're doing on certain planes, or this plane's coming in the gate, we got to do this, blah, blah, blah. So some of that stuff is just caught late. And then, you even have problems sometimes all the way up till you start pushing back. And like a lot of those systems aren't powered up until we get underway. And, you power something up and it's like, oh, there's a fault. Now we got hundreds of circuit breakers and we can usually get on the phone or the radios with maintenance control and get it worked out and get a system reset. There's some stuff we can't reset and there's some stuff we can't go without. So then you got to get pulled back into the gate. And I mean, it's a pain in the rear. I understand it, but that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, I was just curious because you did validate what my thought was. I figured there was a walk around from the pilot or co-pilot when you got there and found the issue. Right. Even though nobody paid attention to it when it was there, an hour before.
Nobody's looking at it then. We don't do a post-flight inspection. When we park the airplane for the night at the overnight, we do a post-flight inspection. That way, if there's anything at that point, we can, get maintenance in there overnight to fix stuff for the first flight out in the morning. But on a through flight, like the middle of the day, it's like you land, you get off the airplane, and then the next crew gets on, and it's their responsibility to make sure the jet's airworthy. So,
and that's what it was. All right. Well, back to our regular scheduled programming. What are some of the big? Go ahead, Jason.
Hold on. So
yeah,
I've got to say this is part of the brilliance that I love about Scott's channels is not only you get the car stuff, but you also get the travel stuff and the pilot stuff, and you get the what's on my wrist for this flight this day. And I love that variety. And as a car guy, I love seeing like even just the shots of the inside of the cockpit or whatever it is, and I can appreciate that. So thank you for making it all encompassing.
Those pilot videos are really popular. They get a ton of views. I mean, part of the reason I do them is because they drive my total view count. I like them. I do like to have fun at work. The funny thing about those pilot videos is like my colleagues, most of them hate them. Like they think it's unprofessional to do them. Now we have a lot of downtime. And like I said, when I produce one of those videos, I got about 5 total minutes invested in the thing over the course of the day. So if I got an hour and 20-minute break, in between flights, it takes us about 15 minutes to prep the airplane. I got an hour where I'm just sitting there. So I'll spend 30 to 45 seconds, shooting a video clip or doing stuff with my friends on there. And the content is not for professional aviators. The content is for passengers that want to know stuff and, up and coming pilots. So it's super popular, but golly, I get a lot of hate from the other pilots on that stuff. But again, haters gonna hate. I do get positive feedback from our pilots, but
they're just jealous that you got a huge follower count and they don't know how to do that stuff, right? I watched the one you did over the weekend with you kind of went from, hey, we're going here, we're flying to Denver, had a little rough landing. This is my co-pilot, and the little care package you gave her. I thought that was freaking cool.
Yeah, those videos are always like way outperform my car videos, too. Which I try to keep it to about 10% of the content, but I do have fun doing them.
Well, you think about it, like if I'm a shop owner and I'm watching your content, how can I apply that to my business? So if I'm, say I'm a car painter and I've, got everything flash, I'm waiting for stuff to dry. That's a great downtime that you can do something similar. And maybe take that kind of mentality towards, okay, I'm going to post something completely separate, like we've got to place an order with a vendor or something, and use that content, figure out what works and what doesn't. Because I'm sure you've done some stuff with with your aviation position where this just didn't work whatsoever. We're not going to touch that. So that's how I would.
And also, I think the pilot stuff like shows me in a professional environment. It kind of gives people the idea that maybe I'm smarter than I am in the shop. Like I really am. They're like, oh, this guy flies jets around. He must be really smart. And I do have I would say my best attribute is a really high attention to detail. Which I've got through my professional career, which really helps me on the cars. But I think sometimes people are like, oh, well, this guy flies jets, so he must be a great mechanic, which that's not the case. That's definitely not the case, but it may give that impression at times.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. You're also in the Guard, right? Part-time?
I was enlisted in the Air Force just 1992 to 98. I used that money for education. And then when I got out of high school in 92, I graduated. I wanted to fly in the Air Force, but that was coming off Gulf War I, and they just didn't have the pilot slots available. They were kind of in a drawdown after that. So I joined the Guard, and they paid for my college for 2 days a month and 2 weeks a year, which is a great deal. And then again, it's all timing with flying business.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Motorhead Digital. Motorhead Digital are digital marketing experts for your automotive aftermarket, restoration, performance, race, and restyling shop. They help you supercharge your shop's website, social media, and entire online presence to attract those badass customers you're looking for. Check us out at motorheaddigital.com.
I, wanted to fly for them when I graduated, but the unit I was in, you had to have your degree in hand to apply for a pilot slot. So they had one about a month before I graduated from Auburn, and I was doing the flight school at Auburn. So I was also like preparing to be an airline pilot there. So I wasn't eligible to apply for that pilot slot. And then it was like a year and a half later before they had another one. And by then I was already at the regional airline working my way towards Delta. So like the timing just didn't work out. So I never flew in the military. I was just an enlisted guy for the education money.
Okay. That makes sense. Back to your builds. What is the biggest challenge you face with building, doing that level of build in a home shop?
Well, on the Mustang, I painted it myself. That was my first experience with paint. And I got, one of those blow up paint booths that I set up outside my garage. And um, it is literally easier to fly a jet around the world than it is to paint a car. Much respect, paint and body people. My God. I mean, like the process is so, that was the most challenging time I had. And for sure. And um, always people ask me all the time, like, what's the hardest build I've done? And I say, well, the Cobra was probably the hardest build because I had zero idea what I was doing on any of it. Now my experience level is greater, so I don't see them as hard, but I mean, the challenges are greater, and I try to make each car harder than the previous. So I'm definitely finding myself there now on the Chevelle.
Yeah, I've been watching your videos on that and go, well, that's pretty deep. I don't know if I'm ever going to go that deep. Got a C10 in my future though, but I keep looking at ones I don't have to do a ton of. Up here we have rust and stuff like that, so that's always fun. How do you push through when a build gets tough and you're just like, man, I'm going to figure this out? I mean, you talked about the rocker panels already. You're looking at that going, I'm going to do this.
I think the most valuable thing I've learned over the course of these cars is just some days you just got to walk away. And I'm not on a schedule to finish this. I get in there sometimes. I get so aggravated, so mad at a part, and then I've walked away, come back the next day, and you knock it out in like 5 minutes. So you got to know your limits. You got to know when it's not going well. Maybe it's just not your day. Like stop and just come back and fight another day. And some fresh rest and some fresh ideas will really help you push through where you got a roadblock going. Like that rocker panel now, I've got about 75% of it cut out, and the back. The problem is the floor's already in the car, the fenders are on the car. It's probably not the best way to be doing it. So I've got to get the rocker panel out of there. And there's the last section that's under the rear fender area there, the last foot and a half or so. I'm thinking, man, I don't know how in the world I'm going to be able to weld this thing in here. So I'm laying in bed thinking about it last night. But then I realized, oh yeah, I'm also replacing the inner wheel tub and doing a mini tub on it. That when I get that out of there, that's going to give me access to get inside that rear panel there where I can access it. And I kind of had an epiphany last night while I was literally laying there at 2:30 in the morning, not able to sleep, thinking about, it. And I'm like, so I'm kind of excited after we do this to like go down there and start chopping up a little bit of that outer wheelhouse, because Jason's got me a new one here already to replace it with. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have access to that. So I've been thinking about that for a couple of days now, and finally kind of had an epiphany, like, yes, this should work. So I should be able to proceed with this.
Nice. Yeah, I've had the same thing where I'm as I get older, I'm learning to, hey, if you're running into it, you just walk away, and your brain will still keep going, right? And you wake up in the middle of the night, go, that's how we're gonna do it, and you figure it out, right? So,
I think I lose as much sleep thinking about these builds as I do working on them. This is the way it goes, I guess.
Cool. Jason, anything else? I'm fresh out of questions here, man.
I don't know. I guess I was thinking about the build and thinking about the Chevelle. You've pretty much narrowed it down for what color we're going with on there, or
I'm still not sure, man. I feel like I'm like 1,000 steps away from applying color, so I can't even look at. A while back, I did like some mock-ups on AI, and I found a color I really liked, and I was like, "Yep, this is what it's going to be," and I made a video on it. And now I'm like, I don't know, man. I kind of like see some other stuff, so I'm really non-committal at that point. We joke that this is my wife's car. My Uncle Jim, he's my car mentor in the family. He's got a 66 Chevelle called Bad Actor. It's blacked out. It's just mean. And that's Kimmy's favorite car. Like, no matter what car I build, like, Bad Actor is her car she wants. So that's kind of what had me pursuing the Chevelle. And we call it her car. Now, she doesn't have any interest in driving these cars, and she doesn't drive manual transmission. She's just a passenger princess. But we call it her car. So there'll definitely be some input on, what color she wants. And because I get a lot of that, like when I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this decision for the car, and people are like, well, did you ask your wife? Because it's her car, and I'm like, yeah, it is her car, but she's just like, supporting me doing it, and we'll call it her car, but basically I'm making most of the decisions.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she's a good sport about it too. I love it.
Got to learn manual transmission though. Other than driving in the city, once you go to manual, you never go back, man.
I tried to teach her once in 1993 in my 91 LX50 Fox body. It didn't go well. We've never tried again, and she will never drive a manual transmission.
So you almost got divorced over that, huh?
Well, we're just dating then, but it was a rough day in the car.
Well, so what I did was our second new car that would be my wife's daily driver was a stick. And I said, you will figure it out. She drives stick better than I do now.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'd like to go into the speed round here. You
All
ready?
right.
Okay. So we ask a question just off the top of your head. Don't want you to think a lot about it, but what's your favorite driver or team, hot rod, muscle car, or truck?
I would say if I could get any car built, it would be a Singer Porsche. I've always loved Porsches. I've been a Porsche guy. I got a 79 911 I built. I used to have a 2018 911S, and something about those Porsches, those old ones that Singer puts out, are just spectacular to me. And I couldn't imagine driving one of those, but those are all 7-figure plus, so that'll never happen.
Very cool.
So
what's your favorite?
That
Go ahead,
leads me
Jake.
into so Porsche guys, when we come to Atlanta, I know you've seen it. I don't know if you've ever been to the Porsche experience right there at the airport.
Yeah, I've done it.
So
cost me $130,000.
Yeah. That's where. So Barry, when you come in, we'll get Scott to come out, and then we'll go to the Porsche experience and go through their restoration hall. And
that's awesome.
No kidding, really? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's called the Porsche Experience Center. It's right there off the runway in Atlanta by Hartsfield, and they got a track out there. And they've actually just expanded the track. Well, it's been a couple years now since they expanded the track. I went probably about 2017. When I upgraded to captain, I went there and did that, and ended up buying a new 911 after the experience. So I joke it cost me so much.
I was wondering how it doesn't cost that much to go there.
Yeah, it's like $600-700 probably for a couple hours, but it's really cool. They also have some pretty fun simulators there, and me and my buddies, like 5 of my buddies, went over there and we all raced each other. And they got like 8 simulators lined up next to each other, and we had that. I think that's like $60 for an hour or something. It's probably more. It's been a few years.
Simulators are cool. The first time I met Jason, we played with a simulator at Petty's garage. That was that was freaking cool.
It's a really cool facility, and they got a shop there, and everything. It's neat.
Back in 94, 96, we went to Germany and we toured the Porsche plant.
Wow.
Yeah. That was when the Boxster was coming out. We're actually at the airport, and there's a Boxster, and it's got big letters on the side. It was in German, obviously. And I asked my brother-in-law, because he was working there for a company he was working for at the time. And I said, what does that say? It said experimental. So that was when before it was released to the public.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. So next question. What's your favorite tool in your toolbox?
Oh man, I think the most useful tool I have is my DeWalt air inflator that I use to inflate my tires, because I got 7 cars out there, so I got 28 tires, and every time I need that thing's a little battery powered. You set the pressure, you push it, it takes it. So that's not the most manly tool, but guys, the one I get the most use out of.
Yeah.
Go to. Cool. I love it.
Do you have a favorite racetrack, automotive event, or car show?
I'm a Formula One fan, so I really like the Monaco GP. I think it's cool, and then I like the GP over in Spa too. It's pretty awesome. That's a pretty awesome track.
Have you ever been to a F1 race?
No.
Have you been to Monaco?
Probably never will, because I don't like to travel.
So unless they do one in Atlanta or
well, I mean, like the coverage on TV is so good. I feel like if I went to, it'd be cool to like experience it. And I had a buddy that went to Monaco for the race weekend, and he's like, yeah, we went to qualifying on Saturday, and then we actually watched the race on TV, because it was like, you can only see like one little area where the car is zipping past, and it's like, the in-car cameras and stuff like that. I think it's a lot better on TV, honestly.
For sure. Now they need to get some better announcers. I used to watch all the time. I don't care for the announcers anymore. But we've been to Monaco, not to the race, but to the principality. And I remember standing there's a walkway right up, where they go through the tunnel there.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there going, freaking F1 cars come right down through here. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And I wish I could go to one of those races. But anyways, okay, our last question is, what's the best advice you've received, and from whom?
From my dad. He said it all the time. A squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you want something, go after it, make it happen. If somebody's got what you need, approach them, bother them. Don't bother them. You got to do it in a tactful manner. But squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's the one that always sticks out to me. He must have told me 1,000 times.
Nice. Awesome. Well, Scott, thanks so much for joining us today. How can people reach you or find out about you?
I mean, the easiest way is Scott at Scott's Rides, SCOTTSRIDES on Instagram or TikTok. You'll find me there. And like I said, I read all the messages I get. So, you send me something mean, I'm going to ignore it. But if you send me an actual message, I'll generally get back to it.
That's awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks, Jason, for joining me today on the show. And we're Gearheads and Gasoline, where we're feeling your success.
We know you don't want to miss an episode, so don't forget to smash that bell so that you get notified of every new episode. Click that like button, leave us a comment, and share with your people. And visit us repeatedly. We love it.